When it comes to profiling testing that you touched on there, do you have like standards that you've come up with over your 30 years of experience for certain sports, or perhaps the age of the athlete, or whatever criteria it might be?
For the non-American sports, I would do a 10 meter and a 30 meter test, with the 10 meter being an interval time on the way to 30. So you get an indication of early acceleration, how they get their start, their early acceleration from that 10-meter time, and then you can see how they speed up between 10 and 30. In American football, it would usually be maybe a 10, a 20, and a 40 yard. I was doing some work with a buddy here, Brian, who works for Vald, and they got the smart speed sensors. And so the numbers come up right away, like on the sensor. So you see it right away. So if somebody runs a 10 meter or a 10-yard time and you see what that number is, you pretty much know roughly what the 30-meter or 40-yard time is going to be. Like it correlates pretty well. So if somebody has a poor acceleration, they're probably going to have a poor max velocity reading.
Talk us through how you develop the athlete's efficiency, perhaps if the capacity is limited and it's an area of improvement, but you can see a lot of it's coming on how they're actually running.
Yeah, I will typically, if I have the ability, if I can shoot video of the test session and shoot it from so you get a profile, you see the side and see how they depart the start. And if I can shoot it at 120 frames per second minimum, you're getting a lot of different pictures. But the other thing you can see when you shoot something in slow motion is you can see things like tension, like what's the tension in their neck and their traps as they're trying to execute this? Does it look like they're achieving a maximum output without fighting themselves and working against a lot of internal tension? So while a photo sequence might be useful, actually seeing them move in slow motion and seeing how they're hitting the ground and how their arms are swinging through their arm cycle, I think is useful. The video plus the result, what was their time, what was the video, and you put it together, you're like, okay, I can see what the problem is here. They're pushing too hard on the ground. There's too much tension.
And for the coaches from an education piece, what's going on at the body when you go in 10 out of 10, and why is that resulting in a worse result compared to maybe the 9.5 when they're more relaxed?
A lot of people are very good. They understand what a 10 out of 10 is for something that's acyclical. So like throwing a ball or pressing a bar or pulling a bar off the ground or doing a jump, like a vertical jump. If you say, I want you to go as hard as you can on a vertical jump, very difficult for them to mess that up. But for running or swimming, it's a cyclical action. So if I overexert acyclically and I push too hard on one stride, it messes up the other stride. You will usually see people stumble. So understanding, okay, I have to hit the ground at a certain intensity, but also I can't push past a certain point because I have to get back in the cycle again and I have to get the next step and the next step, right? So I think people have to understand the difference between an acyclical maximal effort versus a cyclical maximal effort.
Most significant challenges you faced over your career, and what did you sort of learn, or how did you grow as a coach?
The challenge is always going to be you try to save and help everyone. Like you think, okay, I've got to help everyone. And it's impossible. You can't have that impact on everyone because you only have so much energy. And at some point, you have to pull back, especially again, if you have family and friends and a social network. I still think maintaining those things, I think it's very easy for you to go, I've got the dream job with this team and I'm just going to pour everything into it. But you find out very quickly you have a finite capacity to help. And regardless of how much you keep pushing and how much energy you keep putting into it, there is a point of diminishing returns, and there is a point where it can actually hurt you in terms of your well-being and your mental health and just your energy. So very easy to get caught up in all of that. There's other aspects to life, and I think yeah, you need some people telling you that.
So yeah, you take out the maybe the general and go straight to more the advanced with a higher stimulus for adaptation, but along the way, at higher risk, you're probably going to break a couple. Perhaps is that just something we have to wear to prepare them for the end product, which is playing the game and more exposure to more match play?
I have a friend who's involved in counterterrorism in the US, and I was asking him, are there a lot of cases where we don't even hear about stuff that you guys have
Yeah,
stopped? And he's,
yeah.
oh yeah, there's so many. but we don't get to hear about that. So it's not like we're like, hey, good job, like we're patting the guys on the back. They've prevented how many 9/11s, right? So I
Yeah.
think it's the same thing in sport. Rarely are you applauded for doing a good job, and there's no incidents, there's no injuries. So I think that's what you have to do. You have to put in the time, and you're making good decisions for your athletes and not trying to go for instant gratification. It's like this delayed gratification of we've got through this training phase. I've hit all the elements that I want. I've hit them in the proper progression. And okay, great. And we've had less injuries. Awesome.